Salvete omnes! My name is Darius and this is The World That Was. Today I'll be taking a look at a Roman recipe recorded by Apicius, which was likely eaten at contemporary roadside eateries in the Roman Empire. The simple isicia omentata, or what is basically a Roman burger patty. The end result is quite like a spiced and fragrant meatloaf. In any case, let's now take a look at the world that was. To begin with, we need to soak 100 grams worth of breadcrumbs in a cup or two of wine. This is to add some moisture to the finished isicia and to help pad out the meat. In antiquity, shredded stale bread would likely have been used here, as it was a very simple way to make the most out of every loaf of bread. If your breadcrumbs look a little dry after the first cup or two of wine, just add a little bit more at a time until it's completely damp. Now we need to place 500 grams worth of minced meat into a bowl, along with our soaked breadcrumbs. Keep in mind that the texture of minced meat today is more cohesive than what it would have been made in antiquity. A mortar and pestle would have done the work on finely chopped pieces of meat, becoming what's known as a force meat in the process. However, modern ground meat works well here. I used beef, but of course pork or lamb or even goat would have been used in antiquity. The original recipe simply calls for meat, so to the readers of the time, the kind of meat would have been obvious to them, such as hamburgers today being made from beef most commonly. In any case, mix everything together into a bowl. Whenever the meat and bread is combined, toss in about 100 grams worth of pine nuts, along with 50 grams worth of whole black peppercorns, mixing to combine. When the mixture is combined, take a small handful of it in your hands and form it into a patty. Each patty should be about 1/5 of the mix, based on how I made them anyway. You can of course make them larger or smaller. Place each one onto a frying pan with a little bit of olive oil. Let it cook away over a high heat for about 5 to 10 minutes before flipping them over and letting the other side cook away for the same amount of time. The time it takes to cook these will of course depend on how rare you want them and how thick they are. In any case, when they're done cooking, serve them up on a bed of arugula or rocket, or another edible green of your choice, and eat alongside a little bit of bread. The finished dish is super light and flavorful. Each mouthful has a bite of heat from the peppercorns, along with a very slight sweet nutty flavour from the pine nuts. The wine-soaked breadcrumbs gives us a bit of a sharp flavour, depending on what kind of wine you use. While it's unknown exactly how these patties were served in antiquity, it's not unlikely that they were paired with bread and edible greens, as both of these would have been readily available and filling sides for a meat dish like this. Based on earlier Italian cuisines, such as the Etruscans, stale bread would have likely been used as a plate of sorts, or some kind of utensil to hold the meat, which would then have been eaten after the main dish itself, the stale bread turning softer when soaked with the oils from the meat. The texture of this dish is not exactly identical to what would have been experienced in antiquity, due to advances in the technology of grinding meat in a butcher's, which results in a much more uniform and likely sanitary standard today. However, this definitely doesn't detract from how delicious and flavourful this recipe really is. In any case, I hope you all enjoyed this look at the world that was. If you like what you saw, please consider leaving a like on this video, or possibly even subscribing to my channel for some more ancient recipes. If you'd like to support me directly, there's a link to my Patreon in the video description. Thanks again for watching.